Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmaster club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I'm Paramjeet from Sharjah, UAE, your sergeant at arms for the meeting today. Our club mission: we provide a sportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And our leadership statement: Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has a virtual hand raised so we all can immediately see who is keeping the time. Our Toastmaster who will be leading our meeting today is Toastmaster Lokesh Verma, who has been a Toastmaster for more than 4 years and is passionate about developing leadership and communication skills. By profession, he's a sales manager in a pharma industry and loves connecting with people and exploring new places. Please help me welcome Toastmaster of the Day, Mr. Lokesh Verma.
Thank you, Toastmaster Paramjeet. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the meeting of Leadership Speak. I am Lokesh Verma, host for today's meeting, Toastmaster of the Day for today's meeting. To begin with, I would like to start inviting the role players to initiate the particular role. And first of all, I would like to invite Toastmaster Rivero to raise the toast. Toastmaster Rivero, stage is all yours.
Toastmaster Lakhanpal. We have all heard about emotional intelligence, but what exactly is EI? What about managing and displaying our emotions and our feelings? One key thing about both of them: if you can't name them, you can't tame them. By learning about emotional intelligence, we learn to become more empathetic, not just toward others, but within ourselves. Why is emotional intelligence so important for leaders today? It's a gateway to collaboration, especially when we function in a multicultural environment like we have here at Leadership Speak. By using emotional intelligence, we become more aware as we use our skills to communicate, to collaborate, and to motivate. We foster trust and empathy, not by being as harsh as the cold wind where we close ourselves off, but by being like the warm rays of the sun, emanating and opening up, not just having people open up to others, but us confidently opening up ourselves. So how do we become more in tune with emotional intelligence? There are books on the subject, such as Daniel Goldman's book on emotional intelligence, and there's even a Pathways project for motivational strategies, level 3, using emotional intelligence. Yet the best way to learn and practice that is by interacting with others and journaling them. Here's an example. When I talk to my son, or when my son talks to me, or even talks back to me, I have to resist the temptation to just blast like the cold wind. I just have to step back to gain my emotions and control. Learned how to actively listen, express empathy, and listen to his point of view and chat and talk with him. This is how I learned to be emotionally intelligent. One person at a time, a few emotions at a time, and a few feelings at a time. So everyone, unmute yourselves. Raise your glass or whatever you're drinking, and let's have a toast. Not to become the cold wind, but the warm rays that emanate from our own inner sun. Let's toast to become better speakers, better leaders, and better purveyors of emotional intelligence. Cheers.
Yep. Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
Over to you, Toastmaster Lokesh.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ray. Now let's move forward and let me invite the timer for today, Toastmaster Mary, to explain her role. Over to you, Toastmaster Mary.
Hello, I am your timekeeper. I will help you to know how much time has passed by using these three background colors. So green, yellow, and red.
Hello. Hello.
Yes? What's happened?
Yes, who's there? May I request to mute somebody speaking in between? Yes, Mary, please go on.
After which you have 30 seconds to finish. For standard speeches, you have 5, 6, 7 minutes on 30 seconds. For evaluations, you have 2 to 30 on 3 minutes on 30 seconds. Be careful for the educational speech time. It is written in your agenda. And don't forget to pay attention to your timer. Stay connected and good luck.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mary. Thank you. Now let me invite the grammarian for today, Toastmaster Baron. Toastmaster Baron, stage is all yours to introduce the word of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Toastmasters and guests, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage, and in that I will take note of improper language use as well as outstanding words, sayings, quotes, and thoughts. As grammarian, it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day, which you right here, right? Okay, right here. For today's meeting, the word of the day is empathy. And empathy means the ability to understand and share the feelings and thoughts and perspectives of another person. In a sentence, you could say, the Toastmaster of the day spoke to the evaluators with empathy. Later on, I will share it in the report. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Baron. And yes, today we are going to speak a lot about empathy, emotional intelligence, and I encourage all the role players to use the word of the day, empathy. Now let's come back to the theme of the meeting, emotional intelligence. I am very intelligent today with my emotions. That's the emotional intelligence. What you all believe is the emotional intelligence is all about. Is the word already speaking? Emotional intelligence. Your own intelligence of your own emotions, understanding of your own emotions, others' emotions, and how you understand those emotions affect you and others, and how do you control them. Please write in a chat whenever in between you feel how you control your own emotions. And let me share my screen to unveil the theme and to talk more about it. I hope my screen is visible to all of you. Thank you. Today, when I speak about the theme, it's more in the perspective of leadership with emotional intelligence. Theoretically, though there are a lot of definition of emotional intelligence, but when we talk in context of leadership, theoretically, it all means how leaders handle themselves and relationship with others. A leader, why it is important for leaders? Because whatever way, whatever leadership style, whatever behavior or emotions you as a leader demonstrate with people surrounding you has a direct impact. And a leader's emotions are 100% contagious. It's very, very important for leaders to understand the impact of those emotions on others. But scientifically, based on the research, it's what exactly happened in our brain. To understand more about it, let's understand the loop system happening in the brain. A human brain open a loop system which depends upon external sources. What are those? The cortex, the amygdala, limbic system, and this can be strengthened by through regular repetition of neural pathways. Let me explain you what I exactly mean to say that. In a very simple word, our brain has a two more brains, small brains, like you can understand it one as an emotional brain, second as a logical brain. Now, what exactly happened? I say, Sandra or Tony, why did not you answer my call? I called you 5 times. Ram, why did not you responded? So this particular message will go into the brain. First message will enter into the emotional brain. And a fraction of second, it will enter into your logical brain as well. Now it all depends upon you, how strong you are to manage your emotion so that you can pass this information to your logical brain and doesn't hijack your logical brain. This is whole the level of emotional intelligence. It depends upon that. And the people who have a high level of emotional intelligence are regulate their emotions in a much stronger and a better way and think on a different perspective. And when we talk about the life, the entire life, the quality of life depends upon the quality of emotions we experience. And the emotion we can identify based on the feeling we carry at particular moment. But why it is important for leaders in the corporate, in the organization, or maybe in the family to adopt emotional intelligence? Because it improves relationships. People who have a high level of EI are better able to connect with people, and which results into a better relationship. And what happens when you improve relationship in bigger organization, in any organization, you are able to retain talent. People stay with those who understand them, and who understand others, those who have a good EI level. And the outcome will be the increased productivity for the individuals and also for the organization, which also leads to the high level of motivation. The leaders who demonstrate the empathy, they connect with the people, they understand what is happening with them, will definitely gonna. Hello, may I request Zoom Master to mute? Somebody is unmuted. Thank you. People with good emotional intelligence, those leaders are always been successful. They don't avoid conflict management. They get into it and they get out of conflict management successfully. They don't avoid this. Some interesting fact about emotional intelligence with leadership is that 95% of people think they are self-aware, but only 10 to 15% are actually aware. And leaders who master empathy perform more than 40% higher in coaching, engaging others, and decision making. Moreover, 72% of employees ranked respectful treatment of all employees at all the levels as the top factor in job satisfaction. And who all can demonstrate it? The one who understands the importance of emotional intelligence. This is the survey we have done with the member of leadership speak. How do you currently assess and improve your emotional intelligence? So almost 50% says through self-reflection, 25% seek feedback from others, 17% approx attend training and workshop, and 8.3% not actively working on it. I strongly believe seeking feedback from others really help to develop on emotional intelligence. I also asked the members how they come out of the emotional outburst situation. So some of the members' response was, yes, with our patient, I have to calm them so the doctor can speak and explain them some information. But more important is that first you have to calm yourself and then only you can calm others. That's what you can demonstrate. Others say, that's got you pretty stressed. Why don't we just breathe for a few minutes and come back to it shortly? We can work it through. Yes, increase the gap between stimulus and response. Give some time, take a pause, show empathy, show love, and build on our trust and apply conflict resolution. That's the response from our members. Be calm, be open, and listen actively. I could see the red flag. I'll be a little fast, but let me share on the last slide how we can improve emotional intelligence as a leader, self-directed leaders. We have to understand our own emotions. We have to understand about our own emotions and how does it impact others by taking 360-degree feedback. Honestly, I have done it. And I got an immense benefit of taking 360-degree feedback from my subordinates, from my colleagues, from my superiors. But you have to create the kind of environment where people are open to give you the honest feedback. Second, practice empathy. What happens when you practice empathy? You build on the trust, you gain the trust. And when you gain the trust, you can coach people, you can make decisions with them, you can influence them. They will listen to you. That's the benefit of practicing empathy. Manage conflict. Don't avoid. Many people avoid conflict, but the leaders who demonstrate emotional intelligence, they know how to deal with conflict, how to manage it effectively. By increasing the time gap between stimulus and response. Hey, Lokesh, what did you just say? Let me respond to you right away. It's the reaction. Increase the gap between stimulus and response, and then you change your position from reaction to response. In the corporate world, we get a mail and we try to reply in just very next second. Give them a time. Reflect back. Let your logical brain come on the action. Emotional intelligent leader demonstrates situation leadership. Different situations require different leadership style. And last but not the least, read about emotional intelligence. Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. This is the book which I really love to read, and I strongly recommend each one of you to read this book to practice and develop your own emotional intelligence. So next time, leaders, when you get into such situation where you're stuck, the emotional outburst, take a pause, drink some water, breathe in, breathe out, and let your logical brain come into action. Don't let your emotional brain hijack the logical brain, and I'm sure you will become a better, effective leader. Thank you so much for patient listening. And now let me move forward by inviting our first speaker, educational speaker, Toastmaster Mrinal, and his evaluator is Toastmaster Kenneth. I invite Toastmaster Kenneth to read the speech objective. May I request Zoom Master to spotlight?
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Lokesh. Toastmasters and guests on this call. Mrinal Kanti Ghosh is delivering his speech under Visionary Communication, Level 2, Project 1, Understanding His Leadership Style. Mrinal Kanti Ghosh will identify his primary leadership style and will share some aspects of his primary leadership style, which may be in one way also discuss them in general. We'll use 5 to 7 minutes, and I'll be able to look out presentation in general. Over to you, TMOD.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kenneth. So our education speaker is Toastmaster Mrinal Kanti Ghosh. Mrinal is working as a market access manager in GlaxoSmithKline in the eastern part of the India. He has been Toastmaster for almost 2.5 years. And when I understand from him how he worked on developing his EI level, he told that he focused on all 4 components of emotional intelligence for becoming a better version of him as a leader. Toastmaster Mrinal, transform your leadership journey. Transform your leadership journey, Toastmaster Mrinal.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Lokesh, for sharing a lot of scientific research informations on emotional quotients. I also discussed some of the leadership traits which I developed during my journey as a. I hope my screen is visible. Is it perfect? So, thank you.
It is visible. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. So, transform your leadership journey. I know who want to be a leader. I can see everyone want to be aspire a good leader. Here, almost all are leaders. Anybody can be a leader, but he or she need to transform their leadership journey. They can, some of the skills are already genetic, but some of the skills you need to develop each and every parameters to becoming an effective leader. If you just type it in the Google, how many different types of leadership styles are there? You can find many leadership styles, more than thousands. So some of the leaders I follow in my journey. One is Narayan Murthy. A great leader also has the ability to make people 1 inch taller in his presence. I love Steve Jobs. I admire a lot. I follow a lot of principles what Steve Jobs followed. Leadership is all about inspiring people to do things they never thought they could. Similar way fashion, Stephen Covey also told a lot of. If you just Google it, you can find different type of leaders saying different things. But what style you want to adopt is up to you. You need to analyze that. If you find the Google, so there are different type of leadership styles there, more than 1,000, 500, more than that you can also get it. But some of the leadership styles are you can find. So some of the leadership style I'm already working on that. Each and every leadership style is already present within us, but some of the leadership style we need to attributes to becoming a better leaders. Like autocratic leadership style, this kind of leaderships is like I must say is an example of like a Hitler. Do as I say. Whatever I'm saying, you just follow the task. You need not to create your own mind. Whatever I'm saying, just do it. So such kind of mindset is there with autocratic leadership style. Now, authoritative leadership styles, they are visionary leaderships like Elon Musk. Follow me. They're having a huge futuristic visions, and they want their people, they should follow them. Another leadership style, space setting. This kind of leaders do as I do. They are highly energetic, they are highly enthusiastic, they are also having a very good visions for the organizations, and they expect all the subordinates, all the colleagues work in a similar passion, whatever way they work. So such kind of leaders is called a space setting. And we already, all attributes are already present within us. And how we can develop that, I come to the point. Democratic style of leadership. Even I also like the most of this kind of leadership style. I exhibit most of the time. What do you think? You always try to engage the team. If you want to take a decision, you always try to take a feedback from the team. Is it the right thing? Any feedback from your end or any creativity is there? Always encourage the team to participate. So that kind of leadership is democratic. Coaching style. We already know that coaching style is too much importance nowadays. Why actually I'm telling that? Sometimes you need to guide the peoples. Sometimes you need to guide the team because sometimes they're not in the right directions. I'll sharing my own experience when I exhibit this all kind of leadership. And another last two actually is very critical. It's a mix of all kind of leadership style you need to exhibit anytime. Situational leadership style. Act according to your situations. Suppose I'll just give an example. I'm just interaction with a person who is basically from the army background. So in army background, as a stereotype, we can say, they always try to prefer direct communications. Direct, trustworthy, and to the point discussions. They don't want, how are you? They are not interested in rapport building. They always try to influence to the point. And you have to negotiate with proper justification, proper scientific reasons. So such kind of people are there. And then you suddenly need to change yourself. Initially, what happened? We try to follow our own style, but you always act according to behavior of your customers. That is important. And last and not the least, I'll discuss more about that. I recently learned a lot of things from emotional intelligence, self and social awareness is very much important. And you try to implement in your personal life as well as professional life to becoming effective leaders. But question is that there are many types of leadership styles there. Which leadership style I should follow? Which is the best one? That I need to know. But first and foremost thing is that you should identify your own leadership style, where you are strong, where are the challenges area, and what are the things you need to develop. That you should aware of that to becoming an effective leader. So understand the different style of leadership style is very much important. Know yourself. Try to retrospect yourself. Thought process always going on. Try to analyze this each and every day. Practice makes a leader. You try to exhibit that which strategy you need to follow. Practice on a day-to-day basis. And another things, you have always agility. Try to read many books from the leaders, from your own circle, positive circles, how they exhibit the leadership style. You need to learn that. Develop your leadership agility. That is too much important. So why actually I'm telling that? Because unless you are not analyzes yourself, your leadership style, you can't lead a team in effective manners. So I think a few months back, Brahms already did a very good task to understand your strength area as a leader. So when I complete the task, I'm just my core domain area, equalizer and influencer. Yes, I can see because nowadays I connected each and every day more than directly or indirectly. I need to connect with almost approx 300 people in my zone, and they are having a different kind of mindset. But as a one team, our objective, our goal should be same, and our thought process as an individual all are different. But as an organization, we have same goal. So for that, you always take care of your employee. You should support them. If they not understand about the process, you should guide them. So I think that is much important. You try to always Give the opportunity to everyone in an equal way. You should not be support someone else without any reason. And another is talking about influencer. How you can influence your peoples. It's always a long-term goal, not think as a short-term goal. You should have your clear-cut goals that your team should align that. To achieve the goal, what are the tasks, what are the process, what are the planning need to follow, that each and every team member should aware of that. And then every you just divide in every week or as per the project detail, just try to connect with the peoples, whether they're in the right track or not. If not, give some direction, proper direction. You work closely, you guide them closely. If you always put yourself in the persons of others, then only person can understand. That way you can influence the person, and that is a very good style. And then once again I did another research style. What is my core leadership style? So I did this survey from Harvard Business Review. So as per the analysis, I'll just go through all the questionnaires. And my primary leadership style is producer. So my style is that by hooks and crooks, I need to achieve that. So that is my domain. And for that, I always try to engage the people also. It's not like that I can't do anything, because when you are looking at a zone which is almost 2,500 more than kilometer, you are responsible there. You are the responsible for the territory which is covered more than 2,500 kilometers. But how you can to take care of that sitting in one position? That is only possible when you manage your people properly, guide them properly, inspire them properly. You try to find out which are the blind spots are available in the team, and you try to find out. And first and foremost important, where most of the organization are lacking, you should know your core domain area. What is the organization vision and how you can achieve that? That entire process, everyone should align in a straight line, not in a curved line. That is important. So this is all about I'm talking about my core domain area. So I'm literally working on that. And another is a psychological today's state, my leadership score. Why actually I did a lot of exercise. First thing is important, I should know sometimes what happened, whatever I'm thinking, other person may not be thinking. So that's why you should know where you are, understanding your different leadership style, about know yourself. So this is all about your communicating visions. So this is all about, there are different type of leadership styles. So there are almost 7 category of leadership style. So my leadership score is 86. So these scores means that yes, I am always, whatever I'm focused, I'm always to the point. My vision is totally clear. I totally align with the team and always take a feedback from the team that whether we are right direction or not. So that's actually I'm already following in my personal domain, in my corporate worlds. So that's why at 86 is a quite good score, but you need to analyze this, where you are strong, what are the things you need to improve that. Constantly, you need to work on that to becoming a better leader. And another leadership matrix I follow on day-to-day basis is all about skill and will matrix. How to delegate and empower. Some people are already having a high will, high skill. So how to treat? You cannot treat all of the people in a similar manner. If you can find in your team person having a high skill, high will, you try to delegate certain work, try to engage some projects, and trust me, they will deliver their best. They always think they are always engaged in the organization. Another part is very crucial. People having a high skill but low will. Be careful, because each and every organization having almost 80% people in this category, and they are very dangerous. You need to tactfully, carefully, otherwise they can damage the other segment also. So you try to continue follow up with them why their will is low. Try to motivate them. Try to convert into negative group to positive influence circle of group, where most of the people are always saying the positive role. So try to influence that group. So that way you can do it. And person having low will, low skill, you should direct them. having high will, low skill, you should guide. You always try to guide. You can coaching them on a regular basis. So they become transform into high skill, high will matrix. So as a manager, as a leader, you should always look at that, how we can transform one person journey. Like Narayana told, 1 inch taller than what their exact position. But how you can do that? This process, this method, you try to follow in your life and see the difference. Any situation, you try to follow that. Now I'm talking about a recent skill I learned recently, and I learned lot of new things from emotional intelligence after implementing this strategy. So definition, I'm not go through the definition part, but I think this is the 4 component we should aware of that. Self-awareness, whether you should think whether you are aware of about yourself or not. Stress, anxiety, anger, depressions is a part of every individual life. But how you can control that? That self-awareness is too much important. And for that, what are the self-management or what are the action you need to take? That is important. I'll come into that point in details. And other 2 things about social awareness, whether you are aware of the emotion of the others or not, and relationship management, how you can manage that. So another thing, this is my EI score, my personal EI score, which is quite good. Self-awareness score 7 out of 10, self-management 8, social awareness 9, relationship management 8. So this is so as a whole, I'm totally now aware of my emotional intelligence, and my SAT score right now is more than 1200. So that part you should analyze yourself, where you are right now, how you can develop your leadership skill. By bone, we cannot develop any leadership skill, but you can through regular practice, your thought process, study, follow some of the great leader, you becoming good leader. So you need to follow that. As a good leader, nowadays I'm talking about, after interpersonal communication leaders, this is the 2nd highest leadership style right now using in the corporate world. I'm talking about, trust me friends. And this is the score you should follow. If having a high EI score is always good for you. Some of the questions like EQ accounts for what % of job performance for supervisors through CEOs? Any guesses? 60%. And another things, what % of top performers are high in IQ? I know you will be surprised after knowing the results. 90% is quite high, isn't it? Third, what % of low performer are high in EQ? Number is just 20%. So remember, your high IQ is totally related to your performance also. And last things that actually I already try to practice by some of the tools already given in the book, but you can practice. So mindfulness meditation, you all can practice. Simple exercise, just for 15 minutes you need to practice. How you can practice that? It's like a breathing exercise. You should just close your eyes, inhale, then exhale. Feel your breathing patterns through your nostrils. Just practice for 15 minutes each and every day. Trust me, you can reduce your stress, you reduce your anger, your depression, everything you can reduce through these small activities. Just try to practice each and every day. Another very useful tool, write down your emotional. Sometimes what happened, we also not aware why you are so much stress. It's love related relation, maybe the company's pressure, maybe family. We are not aware sometimes. Our cognitive thought process is not aware. So that's why what happened, our cortisol level is always high. So cortisol is always responsible for your stress. So try to write it down here, all your day-to-day activity, why you are so much emotional. So that part you should aware of that. Cognitive behavioral therapy is very interesting. You need to, so there's one study, almost studies all about the duration of the study for more than 15 years. So they divided into 2 groups of peoples, and one group just 4 years, all boy are 4 years. They given the marshmallow to all of them. So one group, they just tried within a few seconds or few minutes, and another group told that if you just wait for another half an hour, then I'll give you another marshmallow. Only 30 or 40% people, they use the second, they can wait at least 30 minutes. So this study is going on up to 15 years. After 15 years, same strategy they are showing, and they are create a one curve, and it's curve showing people, those who are having wait for the second marshmallow, they are having higher EQ. As a result, the 20% higher EQ than the first one. They don't have any. They always try to bring it. Yes, I know it right now. So this part is very much critical, cognitive behavioral therapy, and that you can practice also. Changing your physiology. Sometimes you're stressed, just you can run for 45 minutes or half an hour, or you can just taste some food which you like most, or maybe you just stand up, or maybe dance, singing, that kind of activity. You just do it to remove your stress, to know about yourself more better. Deep breathing exercise, very much useful. I already try to practice on day-to-day basis. Just 10 patterns you need to practice each and every day. How you can do it? Just inhale, count 4, then hold it, then exhale, count 8. Similar patterns, similar pattern you need to follow for the 10 times and see the difference. Just do it. Mainly this therapies works very much well when you are so much angry, so much stress. It's automatically within a few minutes your cortisol level automatically down, so you become normal and you can perform well. So architect a small wheel, such kind of things you can practice, like share your story. This you can do. And talking about empathy exercise, I think helping others, I need not to say anything, because you all are aware of that. That can also reduce the 30% mortality of a human being. You may be imagining like that. Empathy exercise, you can practice empathy exercise. How you can do that? Just observe the non-verbal communication of the persons, like smile, facial expressions. You need to follow that. Body language, that part you need to follow and try to learn your emotional intelligence level. And last, I'm talking about how, not what. It's all about, we all know that non-verbal communications contribute 93%. This part, you need to avoid of that. If you practice all this methodology on your day-to-day basis, then automatically you can avoid of all the leadership style. You can develop that. So one by one at a time, you just try to develop that. It's all about how I am developing my emotional intelligence through self-awareness as well as social awareness, doing a lot of research on that. And this is my recent achievements I just want to share with you. But why you people should listen to me? This is actually my recent achievement, my transformation journey. So more than in entire organization, more than almost about 4,000 plus people are there in our organization in India. So the only 1% can receive this award as a leadership cultural award. So I'm fortunate enough that I got this award among all of them. So it's really a great moment for me, and I can exhibit my leadership style through the follow process. So that's way. So you can see even also more than thousands people are already watching live on this telecast. When you get award such kind of things, whatever you are doing in your life, your self-esteem or as a self leadership style, you always think that how you can do better. With that, think on your thought process. What is a leader? Who is a leader? How can I be a leader? Just think and be a good leader. Back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mrinal, for such a informative, real, authentic experience and lot of information about leadership style and how we can improve on our emotional intelligence being a leader. Thank you so much. Now let's call upon our next speaker, Toastmaster Angela. And before that, let me invite Toastmaster Hannah, who will be evaluating Toastmaster Angela's speech. Toastmaster Hannah, stage is all yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Angela will be speaking from effective coaching and making level 3, inspire your audience. The purpose of the speech is for the member to practice writing and delivering a speech that inspires others, and for the member to inspire the audience. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hannah. Toastmaster Angela. Toastmaster Angela is author, entrepreneur, and chronic illness advocate. Also a Toastmaster and Rotarian. And Toastmaster Angela works on developing emotional intelligence through self-reflection, self-awareness, and feedback from others. Woo! That's so nice, Toastmaster Angela. Toastmaster Angela, making a difference. Making a difference, Toastmaster Angela.
Have you ever had the opportunity to make a difference in the life of a child? Raise your hand if you've ever had this experience. Hello, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. I had the opportunity to be a mentor for the big brothers and sisters of Ajax Pickering. I was a part of the in-school mentoring program, which was spending 1 hour per week with a child. These children were considered at risk because of circumstances that happened in their lives. For example, it could be a single parent home and underprivileged situations in their lives. I had the pleasure to mentor 2 young girls. I'm going to change their names in order to protect their identity. So I'll call the first girl Sally. Sally was 8 years old. She was very sweet and very bubbly, always had a smile on her face. Sally was considered at risk because her mom was a single mom with 8 children. When her husband passed away, Sally's mom had to give some of her children to other family members to take care of because she could not take care of them on her own. And Sally was the only child living in the home with the mom. Sally was so sweet and she never complained about anything. We played board games, we played online games. Sometimes we just went outside for a walk. Sally would go to school sometimes without breakfast or lunch, but the school, understanding the situation, would give Sally lunch and breakfast. One day I went to see Sally. She showed me the bottom of her shoes, and she jokingly, laughingly said, "Look, it's falling off." And I realized the bottom was almost gone. I asked my supervisor if I could donate some shoes to Sally, but her mother declined the request. The following week, I went back to see Sally. She had shoes. She explained to me that her mom had gone to the thrift store and bought her some shoes. She told me that her mom had never bought her anything new. She would always get things from the thrift store or from her brothers and sisters. That made me feel a little bit sad. The second girl, her name is Mary. Mary was 13 years old. She was very shy and reserved. Like Sally, she would often come to school without breakfast and lunch. Mary was considered at risk because she lives with a single mom with her brothers and sisters. Sally didn't talk much, but she got in, sorry, Mary didn't talk much. She got into a lot of fights. The goal was for me to spend time with Mary and maybe find out why she always got in trouble and always get into fights. Mary loved to play basketball. We would spend the time outside while she was dribbling the ball and throwing it into the hoop. One day, she offered to teach me how to play basketball. But that didn't work out very well because I was a lost cause. No matter how hard I tried to put the ball into the basket, it just never happened. But it was a good experience to try. Mary never did tell me why she got into fights, but spending time with her was a joy for me. And I was told by her teacher that she enjoyed the time as well. I would often ask opportunities to take Mary out for lunch because her other classmates were able to go out for lunch, but Mary couldn't go because of her financial situation. The request was approved and I would take her out and she would love pizza. That's where we would go every day. And we would talk and she would open up more to me about other things that were happening in her life. Spending time with these two girls was a joy for me and it changed my life. One mom said, and I quote, that her child being a part of this program built his confidence, and it was a good experience for him to have a positive role model outside of his family. Anyone can make a difference, even you. As John F. Kennedy said, one person can make a difference, and everyone should try. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster.
Back to you, Madam, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Angela. That was really inspiring speech. I'm listening to you second time, and both the speeches are really, really inspiring, coming from your authentic experience, making the difference. Thank you so much. Let's now call upon our next speaker, Toastmaster Deborah Walker. And before I call upon the speaker, let me invite the evaluator, Toastmaster Sundar Subramanian. Toastmaster Sundar, over to you for sharing the speech objective.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, Lokesh, Toastmaster Lokesh Verma. Deborah Walker speech. The purpose of Toastmaster Deborah Walker speech is to practice the feedback that we are going to provide in this speech and applying it, and to serve as a speech evaluator during the club meeting. The member has to present a speech and receive a feedback from the evaluator. This is the purpose. The Toastmaster also wants to know how this inspired me and what was that makes me to think. And if there anything as an unclarity aspect is missing, then I have to report on that. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sundar. Toastmaster Deborah. She's a newer member to our Leadership Speak Club, but is a Toastmaster for almost 14 years. She has given countless speeches and has competed in 50 speech contests over the course of her Toastmaster journey. Toastmaster Deborah to work upon the emotional intelligence, always follow Darren Hardy and do lots of self-reflection. That's really cool. Toastmaster Deborah, from there to here. From there to here. Toastmaster Deborah.
It was a day I'll never forget. Our next contestant, Deborah Walker, from there to here, from there to here, Deborah Walker. When was the last time you failed? Do you remember how you felt? Back in 2007, I was about to do just that. Picture me walking into the large blue meeting room to a sea of people and the smell of fresh coffee. It was my first Toastmasters division contest. And being the avid competitor that I am, I wanted to challenge myself. And I wanted to win. But I felt nervous, not confident. The crowd was bigger, the competition was tougher. I had never been stiffer. I delivered my speech, sat down, and waited for what felt like an eternity. At the end, the contest chair announced the results. Third place. Wasn't me. Second place. Wasn't me. Third place. Disappointed. But I tried again in 2008 and 2009. And I failed. Again and again. Now I was not only disappointed, I was frustrated. How hard could this be? At this point, I'm thinking, baseball, 3 strikes and you're out. But fast forward to 2023. Not only had I finally won a division contest, I won 6 in a row. And for good measure, I added 2 third-place district finishes. My confidence had grown and my nerves disappeared. How did I get from there to here? What made the difference? In the next few minutes, you will discover 3 tips I learned that helped me reach my goal of winning division contests. Now, somehow, I managed to win the evaluation division contest in the spring of 2021. But when my friend Claire saw my desire to compete in the speech contests, she offered me her first tip. Why don't you get a coach? A light bulb went on. That could be a good idea. So I did. And that led me to my second division victory, this time in the Tall Tales contest. Now I was getting excited. I wanted to challenge myself even more. But I didn't place at district. And once again, I was disappointed. That's when Claire offered me her second tip. Why don't you make a change? A light bulb went on. That could be a good idea. So I did, and I joined a club in another district. But Claire had one more tip left. Do you have a plan? And she handed me a copy of Darren Hardy's Living Your Best Year Ever journal. A light bulb went on. This could be a good idea. So I used the journal and I wrote down my goals week after week after week. It all came to a head in 2022 when, after over a year of hard work, time, effort, and money, I finally won 3rd place in a district contest. I was thrilled. Tears of joy were streaming down my face. I called my boss, I called my husband, I texted my friends, I posted it on Facebook. I would have interviewed with Oprah if she had asked me. After that came 3 more division victories and 1 more 3rd place district finish. I had used the tips Claire had offered me, pushed through the disappointment and frustration, threw the baseball bat away, and achieved more than I ever thought I would. How about you? When was the last time you failed? Do you remember how you felt? Disappointed? Frustrated? I get it. Claire's 3 tips helped guide me. They can guide you if you use them. Are you ready to challenge yourself? Why not pick 1 tip right now? Could it be coaching? Making a change? Creating a plan? Which tip will you pick? Did a light bulb go on? Are you thinking as I did? That could be a good idea. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Deborah, for such a wonderful speech. Yes, we are ready to take the challenge. Let's call upon to the next speaker, Toastmaster Nina John, and let me invite Evaluator Toastmaster Barbara to share the speech objective for the speech. Over to you, Toastmaster Barbara.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening all. Special welcome to Toastmaster Nina John as she represents her speech on, as she represents her speech on familiar topic to clear, maximize audience understanding, craft clear and engaging transition of sources to support her speech content. Toastmaster Nina had asked me to know if she's speaking too fast, which I will pay keen attention to. And the title of her speech is The World Wide Web. Back over to you, Toastmaster, today.
Thank you, Toastmaster Barbara. And since the time is, we are way behind the time, let me hand over to you, Toastmaster Nina John. Toastmaster Nina John, the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web, Toastmaster Nina John.
Hello, Toastmasters, guests. Every one of us is there on social media today. What are you doing? Are you aware of the fact that the World Wide Web that we had to connect us when we had the pandemic, when we were isolated, we used computers, the internet, to connect with people across communities, to build up our own communities, to literally connect because we couldn't even physically go outside. But what happened after that? Today, thanks to the proliferation we have of the different devices, we have found that everything we do, social media, is connecting us in so many different ways that we cannot understand or even fathom the way in which one second. Is my PowerPoint coming through?
No, Toastmaster Nina, we can't see the screen.
You can't see the PowerPoint.
See,
okay, let me try. Yeah, share screen again.
Yes, we can see now.
Yes? All right. So today we find that we are on social media everywhere. We are there for work, we're there for pleasure, we're there to connect with families. We are on the web all the time. And we think, oh, what a wonderful new world it is. We can connect across time, across communities, across time zones. But did you know that every single one of our devices can be hacked? Desktops and laptops are at the highest risk. Smartphones, every one of us has a smartphone. And have you seen, even in your regular routine, your Apple Watch doesn't give you just your vitals, it monitors everything you're doing. Your Google timeline tells you where you have been all through the month. And that is the kind of information that is available to anyone that just hacks into your phone. Every single thing that we're talking about is dangerous. But what are the actual things that happen? The first is, of course, hacking and financial fraud. I'm sure every one of you has a friend that is reporting on Facebook. Mind you, the most accessible social media that we have. On Facebook, we have people saying, my Facebook profile has been hacked. Please do not answer any messages on that. Please do not send any money. That itself is the biggest warning that you can have. Our data can be stolen. Our identity can be stolen. Did you realize with just Facebook alone, 2 or 3 different things can happen? When I posted some pictures or wanted to post some pictures of my grandchildren, my daughter said, no, please don't. I said, why not? So she said, there are people on Facebook itself who will take those pictures and pretend these are my children, this is my happy family, these are my kids. And there you have it. Simple identity fraud of a very, very basic kind. The other is when they actually take your pictures of the children or of any of you on a holiday, morph them and use them for anything from child trafficking to sex trafficking. There are instances of people who've gone on holiday or are going on holiday and have, these posts that say, hey, we're going to Bali for 2 weeks, and then they come back and the equally tech-savvy burglars have broken into their house and taken whatever they want. So these are some of the ways that we have in which our world is being destroyed. Many of us attend, for example, or go on to FaceTime. We are actually letting a camera into our bedrooms, into our homes. This is all stuff that can be hacked. Many young people get into relationships because of Tinder, Tumblr, Facebook, whatever it is, exchange intimate photographs, and the next thing you know, when the relationship sours, you have blackmail and what is called sextortion, where the person threatens to go into the different kinds of blackmail. If you don't pay me so much money, I will release your photographs either to your friends and family, to your work in other places, or even onto the net. So be really, really careful about what you are doing and who you are talking to. India itself has reported that from the year 2018 to the year 2020, the number of cyber crimes have increased almost double, from 20,248 to 50,035 recorded cases. So now by 2023, that figure would have gone through the roof. What are the precautions we can take? 1, password changes as often as possible. Each time I log into Gmail, it says, what's your name, what's your password, and I get irritated. But that 2-factor authentication is one of the things that is going to help me be a little safe. antivirus software, absolutely a given with everyone. Refusing suspicious mails from American companies. I mean, I'm not even in America, but I get all these things from Walmart and God knows where else. Stay away from any of these. Friend requests. A dead giveaway is somebody who asks you to be your friend, and if you check, they have absolutely no other friends or whatever. So don't look at that fancy picture of that hunky guy or that pretty girl. Just delete that. Never give out your passwords over the phone. Report any suspicious activity that you have, because unless we report it, we cannot be safe. Above all, beware the cybernet. Beware the deep, dark web, which can entrap you. Be as diligent on the digital highway as you can be on the physical highway. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Neena Jong. Such a wonderful, informative, and relevant speech in today's scenario on the digital world, right? Thank you so much for such an informative speech. Let me call upon the next speaker, Toastmaster Raam Lakhanpal. And before that, let me also call upon Toastmaster Dinesh, the evaluator for Toastmaster Raam, to share the speech objective. Over to you, Toastmaster Dinesh.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, and more importantly, Raam Lakhanpal. Raam is presenting a speech from Leadership Development Pathway, Level 3, and the title of his speech is How to Prepare for an Interview. The timing for the speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and best wishes, Raam Lakhanpal. I'm an HR guy myself, so I will be carefully listening how you prepare for your interview. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
That's wonderful. So, evaluator is a natural professional, Toastmaster Raam. So, friends, Toastmaster Raam is a passionate Toastmaster who, after 6.5 years, attends meeting regularly, and he brings enthusiasm to leadership speak. And he managed to develop on emotional intelligence by following rule of 3. 3 C's: calm, cool, and collective. We can understand that it's reflecting on your personality when we connect with you. Be in the moment, seek to resolve issue in a non-confrontational manner. That's the way to deal with conflict and be more emotional intelligent. Toastmaster Raam, qualified job candidate, Toastmaster Raam.
Keep in mind, my interviewer is Miss Sandra.
So you want us both on the screen, I think.
Yes, I think so. Side by.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lakhanpal, for coming in for this interview. I am the HR department head, and I am doing the preliminary interviews. As you know, it's a highly looked for job. And so I'll be doing the preliminaries, and out of the 20 or so interviews that I do, 5 will be called back. And then out of those, 3 will be sent forward to the executive level. Thank you for applying to the Acme Medical Supplies. You know, we're already the biggest in North America. So tell me, can I call you Raam? You mind?
Of course you can. A pleasure meeting you, Miss Sandra.
Thank you. Tell me just a little bit about yourself, you know, your background and why on earth you would want to come and work for this company. Like, what makes you think you can handle this job?
Would you like to know it in a personal level or my professional level?
I would say both, because you don't separate yourself out when you come to work for us. And it is the sales manager of the department, so it's pretty critical.
Thank you for clarifying that. I currently have experience having worked for a company in Don Mills, that is in Toronto. And I worked as a manager managing about 3 or 4 individuals, training them, ensuring that they're doing so many great things that will move them forward. And I enjoyed doing that. And I wondered what would be my next step. But really, I enjoy what I'm doing currently. Miss Sandra.
Tell me a little bit about, I'm hearing that you love to train people. You really like to lift people up, if I'm getting that correctly, versus shine yourself. Is that correct, Raam?
That is quite correct, because I get joy in seeing others' success. If they're successful, my department will be successful. And in so, the whole company benefits. And that is the main reason why I like to train others. In so doing, I am trained, I am prepared, and my department does well.
Ah, interesting. I like that approach. Now, you are the sales department, so you're kind of squished between the executive and the people. How do you like to be managed?
I don't like to be managed in a sense where I would be told, do this, do that also. I would like to be given a task by my superior. Here are the objectives of this term. These are the things that we need to accomplish. And just by giving me a small element, a snippet of it, I would run with the ball. I'd be able to guide my team as well as to how to accomplish the task, all the tasks, enjoy the journey that's coming up.
And how much accountability do you like to be called on?
Well, there is a monthly report that I produce for my manager, and that has been going on for quite a while. And I would say, she's very pleased with what I've produced so far.
So you're used to working for a woman, are you?
I am used to working for not only a woman, a man, and I actually have great relationship with my superior. She is not a person that will be behind me all the time, because she knows what I produce, and she will be there all the time if I need it so. But up till now, our relationship has been superb. Great relationship.
I like to hear that. Tell me, Raam, what do you think makes you unique?
I bring a very, very unique type of experience, an experience that will be very worthy for your company. I will be bringing some of the things that's already defined in your job description. In other words, your company is looking for about 5 different things. And I have 6 or 7, something beyond what you're looking for. And I can go beyond expectations and express that. And my supervisor knew that I cannot hold Raam anymore, and I'll be able to. She told me that if you're looking for a job, tell them to call me, and then I'll be able to give that. And I have no hesitation about that, she told me.
Wow, thank you. Pretty impressive. Tell me, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
In 5 years, I would like to be occupying the position in your company, because it's really going places. I see a company with bigger, better things than in my company, in Don Mills, because
I'm
you're bigger.
I'm a little confused, Mr. Lakhanpal. You want my job, or you want to move up into an executive position?
Within the company.
If you come in as the sales, you want to advance?
I would like to advance, yes, but not necessarily your job, but I'm saying within the company, because your company is much larger than the company I currently work for. And in so doing, in my company, by being in your company, I can really move forward in so many areas, because I've been watching your website and I'm seeing so many. I've done research on you, Ms. Sandra, and I found a lot of things. I came prepared because I know that you have so many good things happening in your company. And in looking at the Google, all the reviews and all the things about your company, those are really appealing to me. And those types of companies will go places, and I can only help it grow.
And would
grow
you
in a
be
big way.
would you be willing to relocate if it was required?
If necessary, yes. While I'm here stationed in Toronto, what we call Richmond Hill, but I'd be willing to locate, yes.
Okay.
I
Any
have
other
no
questions?
hesitation.
Any
I'm
other
just saying,
questions? Oops,
when
sorry.
would you be closing your files? In other words, when would I be hearing back from you? Or whether I was successful, or are you looking for more individuals? So that I just keep in mind, just out of interest as to where things are going.
Well, I can tell you, Mr. Lakhanpal, Raam, that I will be sending yours on up to the upper levels where they will be doing the finishing executive interviews. So thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to hopefully you coming on board here. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. What an evaluation. Very encouraging. I moved, and I thank you for great feedback from you. Thank you, Miss Sandra.
Thank you, Toastmaster Raam, Toastmaster Sandra. Wonderful live interview. It was amazing to witness that. And Toastmaster Sandra, I empathize you. Toastmaster Raam may take your position soon.
Don't know about that.
Let's call upon our next speaker, Toastmaster Ashwini Arondkar. And I invite her evaluator, Toastmaster Amit, to share the speech objective. May I request
Thank you,
Zoom Master?
Toastmaster Ashwini will be attempting her Level 2 Project 2 under the pathway Dynamic Leadership. The purpose of the project is for Ashwini to learn different styles of communication and to identify her own primary style. The purpose is for her to share the impact of her style on others. She has also asked me to observe the pace of her delivery, which I should do so. All the best, Ashwini, and back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Amit. Toastmaster Ashwini, who is a sales professional working with TCS, a major IT company very well known in the world. She works on developing emotional intelligence by trying to put herself in the shoes of her team members to understand the impact of decision making. That's something the best way to demonstrate the emotional intelligence. Toastmaster Ashwini, what do you mean? What do you mean, Toastmaster Ashwini?
I was working on my desktop with various permutation and combination on the scores my regional team had achieved last quarter. And we had lost few deals to the competitors and really worried on how we pull the numbers. Me being the first-time manager was busy creating rollover plan to achieve this quarter targets at least. My reporting, Ritesh, came to me and said, "Hey Ashwini, I'm taking some leaves for a few days for an upcoming event, festival, and I shall be moving to my hometown for preparation. Maybe working from home if needed." I gave him a pause stare. And I said, he was puzzled. Again, I looked at him and said, "What do you mean?" He wanted to check on me if I can approve his leave. On the other side, I was thinking, how dare he can take the leave when we are in such a big trouble? How he can actually think of leaving this region when we are struggling to achieve our numbers. And I did not say yes or no. I just kept quiet. The way he communicated was very straightforward and asking his manager, which was actually impacting my perception about him, that he is not understanding the need of the hour and needs to work upon his understanding of business, culture, and adopting the organizational way of functioning. On the other side, I had Akash calling me, "Can I meet you, Ashwini, for 5 minutes?" I said, "Yes, why not?" He came to me and said, "Ashwini, I wanted to check with you if I can please plan for some time off for the day of the festival." He took a pause and looked at the expressions. I was standing with a poker face and asked the same question. "What do you mean?" Akash was adaptable to the situation, and accordingly he tried to communicate his request. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, this is the juncture when we as manager or leaders are left with no choice but end up getting perplexed with a very simple request coming in from my team members on approving the leaves or not, which is their right to ask whenever it's needed. But now if you think with the depth of both the scenarios, we realize the level of EQ, which both team members had showcased. One was very straightforward, which showcased by way of his straightforward communication style. And me, as a manager, was always analytical in terms of understanding what is that he's trying to say. Another one came up with a request. He was very adaptable. And me as a manager was still analytical to understand and somewhere try to be empathetic. These differences extend to the individual communication style, which can vary significantly from person to person. Therefore, it is our responsibility as team managers to become adept in identifying and navigating this different style to foster more inclusive and productive working environment. Though I ended up approving leaves for Akash and Ritesh, the lesson what I learned was understanding and accommodating various communication style of team members to become a successful team. Keep apart the organizational goals for some time, but I, as a human being, as a team leader, as an individual, it's very much responsibility of mine to understand how I nurture a human capital, which is the need of the hour. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ashwini, and agree with you. Understanding the team require to demonstrate the empathy. Very, very clear speech on your communication style. Thank you so much. And now I request Timer, Toastmaster Mari, to share the timer report in the chat window. And I request Zoom Master to share the poll for the voting. The poll on screen of yours. Please vote for a best speaker. Please vote for a best speaker. Thank you. To proceed further, let me call upon the General Evaluator of the Day, DTM Brahman. DTM Brahm, a founder member of the club Leadership Speak, and many more. He's a coach, a mentor, and talking about the emotional intelligence. DTM Brahm has shared that self-directed leaders have a high level of emotional intelligence. Instead of reacting, they respond by collaborating. This is the foundation of why Brahm Mammon founded Leadership Speak. Over to you, DTM Brahm.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, Lokesh Verma. Thank you very much for conducting the previous session. Very well done. I will now be conducting the evaluation part of the meeting. This is an advanced club, so I won't go into too much description of what I do. Here's the thing. We are in an advanced club, and it's based on leadership. The expectation, of course, is that do something different. DSD. Remember the acronym DSD. Do something different, which means if you're doing something that is exactly what you do in a community club, then you're not striving to become a bit more advanced. Do something out of the box and begin to fail so that you can then learn. So that is what I look for when I am a GE or an evaluator, as to what is this person doing something different. And I would like to ask the evaluators when I call them to look at what did this person do differently being in an advanced club, as well as focus on and comment on the Zoom presence, because we are a totally online club. So was the Zoom presence okay? Do they need to improve on the Zoom presence? So that's what I would ask the evaluators to do. We will begin with Daniel Odero, who's going to be evaluating our Toastmaster of the Day. And Daniel Odero says, emotional intelligence makes for more meaningful relationships whenever connecting with others at all levels. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Odero.
DTM Brahm, Toastmaster Sandra is evaluating Toastmaster of the Day.
I am mistaken. I'm now looking at my agenda properly again and focusing on what needs to be done. And therefore, I will call Dan Odero to evaluate the sunshine ray here. Dan, all yours. And thank you, Lokesh.
Thank you, General Evaluator Brahm, for that. And Ray, thank you for that heartwarming, energetic toast. Now, you remember you asked me whether you captured the spirit of the theme, making the toast, and you did very well. The opening was good. As our General Evaluator said, your Zoom presence was fantastic. You stood out there. I felt very connected to you. You were speaking, it's like you're speaking to me. You are it's like as if we were in a room and you are there speaking to us. Great gestures. And what is it? Then talked about what emotional intelligence is and how it is in our club at Leadership Speak. Very relevant, because in Leadership Speak we have got people from different nationalities all over, and we have to apply emotional intelligence to get through. And this is what you brought out very well. You also explained it, the theory of it, but also brought in for yourself, you and at home, a personal story that said, this is how you handle emotional intelligence. It brought it out very clearly and how it works. And so I enjoyed it, and it hit the spirit very well. And we began to understand what is emotional intelligence, not just a word we talk out there, but what it is. This came out extremely well. One area I would probably suggest when making the toast, the sentence needs to be short. Because at that point, I got a little bit lost. You said something, and then you talked about emotional intelligence. And in fact, when I had people saying, I had one person say emotional intelligence, so we got a bit lost there. So guide us, give us the word that we'll use when raising our toast. But you said it very well. And mute your mics very well. We were ready. We were set. And we were waiting to raise our classes. And then we got a little bit lost there. What do we actually say? One person said to emotional intelligence. So just that part. But started very well. The spirit was great. we understand what emotional intelligence is. It opened the theme, great for the rest of the meeting. Well done with that, Ray. And I look forward to more of your toasts. I enjoy them. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Daryl. You actually caught the essence of the toast, and you did mention that the last sentence where you tell people to raise the glass and toast was too long, and we had actually practiced, and yet Ray, you went over too long, so we couldn't remember the whole sentence. It has to be 2-3 words, maximum 4 is pushing it because it's so spontaneous for the audience to repeat after you what you're just saying. Very well said, Dan. You also mentioned about focus on the gestures, different nationalities, and so how the toast catered to all people across all avenues of life. So thank you so much. Our next evaluator is going to be Sandra Valks, and she's going to be evaluating about Toastmaster of the Day. Now you're wondering, first of all, if you're a guest, why the Toastmaster of the Day and the toast is being evaluated, because these are pathways, speeches, and projects. That's the reason why. So over to you, Sandra. Oh, and before I say that, Sandra knows the value of emotional intelligence. And without looking back, without staring, it is how emotions color our world, and happy or bright, dark or gloomy, we have the choice in our emotions. Back to you, over to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Raam. Well, Lokesh, you have done the Toastmaster of the Day, and it's a challenging role to take on. Absolutely. You have a wonderful presence, and you really just take the job on and bump, 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 bump in a very pleasant way. You didn't get hung up in between tasks, because the MC of any program is just to keep the program on time and keep moving. So I really appreciated that you paid attention to that. You were organized, prepared, you care. Just in your presence, we can see that you care. And you kind of came right out of the textbook, the ways to do things. But you used a conversational tone. I kept thinking, okay, why are you skipped over your own little introduction about emotional intelligence, did the toast and the timer first and so on, the functions. I thought you forgot to do it because there was 5 minutes for it. Now, when you came back to that 5 minutes, you took 8.5. And you did a whole educational session. I would have preferred that you take that 5 minutes to 4 to 4.5 and 5 minutes of really just talking about the emotions, and forget about the educational and the PowerPoint slide and all that stuff. Your role would be to inspire the audience, get excited because the education's coming up. That's where I thought we went there. Your PowerPoint, I'm not big on PowerPoints because usually we end up getting buried in them, but that's just my own personal thing. Now, in terms of preparing for the meeting, that's where the work of a Toastmaster of the Day also goes in a week or so before. Your work starts maybe 2 weeks ahead, deciding how you're doing it, but the week before the meeting, you are in organizing all your role players. I found that when I did it, it was much easier to have a less messy role-playing group. It just kind of got all over the place to me. I would have liked to have seen it worked out. Here's the theme, here's my talk, after you had everybody in. And then if you have to repeat that as new people come on, because the chat gets lost, I think. So you have to repeat your own theme. But in terms of all the nonsense about has this been done, has that been done, go and do it privately. So for instance, Sandra, you're my evaluator. Here's my evaluation sheet. Here's what I'm looking for extra, just in a private. Don't leave it for me to ask. And then for each of your speakers, you want to go to them privately. Send me your introduction. Send me your comments. And then for the GE will go and pick up the other. So there's a lot of work behind that. You would have found it more organized for yourself and a little less confusing perhaps for your role players. Overall, you ran a really tight meeting. I appreciate it. It's crisp, it's clean, it's organized, and I thank you for this opportunity to evaluate you. Well done.
Sandra, great evaluation. You actually caught all the succinct points about what was missed and what was done too much and overly done by a Toastmaster of the Day. Yes, Lokesh, please follow the agenda. You're given 5 minutes at the beginning before you even call in any role players, because you're going to set the tone and then call in your role players to do their part before that. So great evaluation, Sandra. You talked about the theme was like an education session. There shouldn't been any slides, whatever, and it should have been just a broad overview to get the audience going, because Mrinal is supposed to be taking on. So the collaboration link seemed to be a bit weak in this particular case. Our next evaluator is Kenneth Kajora, and he's going to be evaluating Mrinal. Kenneth, over to you.
Thank you, Bram. Transform your leadership journey. Mrinal. Well done. Well done, Mrinal, on your presentation. Did you know that you have a good smile, Mrinal? Did you know? It is such a welcoming smile. I like it. Your presentation was started well with a good attention grabber. You opened your speech with a question: who wants to be a leader? I'm sure people wanted to unmute and respond. That was a good prompting, a grab opener. I like your presentation. The fact that you are able to use digital, when you use digital in your presentation, there's that integration. You are advancing. You're able to present with slideshows. That was well done. It was well researched with leadership quotes from Steve Jobs, Stephen Covey, to mention. And you had statistics that were all over represented. You shared personal examples of leadership styles and primarily emphasized your style as producer, which was the core purpose of this speech. You went ahead and practically demonstrated how we should achieve emotional intelligence through deep breathing exercise, and you engaged us to understand well. I felt if you had engaged the audience to practically breathe in, breathe in, breathe out, this would help us to understand, to relate better on your concept. How do you see if you had also few points to consider at the end as take home for us to understand, to learn, and contemplate on? Otherwise, you had a wonderful presentation. I enjoyed it. I've seen you transform in this journey of your leadership. Thank you. Over to you, Brad.
Thank you, Kenneth. Again, you missed out the Zoom presence, or was there a Zoom presence? I think, Kenneth, what you could have focused on is the slides, because it was more of a slideshow rather than a speaker presentation. You know, being an advanced speaker, we could see the speaker and how they were speaking about leadership and the journey of leadership. So you could have focused on the content, how the speaker appeared. There should have been no slides because there's just too much stuff on the slides and they were not necessary. Because I've got 2 screens, I was just looking at the speaker and I didn't miss a thing about the slides. But when I look at the slides, they're like, what's all of this? You know, people start to read the slides or wondering what's on the slide. It's totally unnecessary, the slides. Mrinal, here's the thing as well. I mean, it's a great speech. Remember that, the journey of leadership. But I'm speaking from the perspective of that it was a leadership education speech. And from that perspective, like I've already said, the collaboration between Lokesh, the Toastmaster of the day, and yourself, because you have to really collaborate on the theme and come up with it. The core idea of your presentation should have been the theme. emotional intelligence, not the journey of a leadership. And then in there, you could have woven in, of course, the different leadership styles and all that, but emotional intelligence and self-awareness is at the top. Doesn't matter what that journey is, what that particular style is. So that's what I would like to see. And that's what I've liked Kenneth to focus on in your evaluation, so that we get that. Our next evaluator is going to be Hannah Schmidt. And she says to listen with empathy and motivate with encouraging feedback and not being negative is emotional intelligence. To have empathy, Baron, right? So Hannah Smith, all yours for Angela Braun. You're muted. We can't hear you anyways.
I said Angela is not in the room, but she
Sure,
can
no
listen
problem.
to the, yeah.
Yes.
General Evaluator members and especially Angela. Phew, your speech opened my mind. An adaptation to Craig Hatton's words. With that strong opening question, I could hear a crystal clear message on how I should get involved in an organization to help underprivileged children. Thank you very much for your empathy, your unwavering support and service to your community, especially to those two girls you named, Sally and Mary. Your use of vocal variety, pauses, volume conveyed your emotions and magnified the meaning of your speech. With Zoom meetings, the main focus is actually on the face nowadays, and especially on the eyes. Here I saw a little glare in your glasses. Hand gestures also convey emotions to a speech. When you were crying, you showed us how the tears were running down your cheek. And when you showed us how you threw that ball into the basket, very well done. Making these hand gestures are purposeful and complement the story, which are of great advantage and importance in showing me that making a difference is indeed your vision, Angela. The speech inspired me to follow your exemplary leadership, to provide the necessary care and to protect those vulnerable children and to give them a chance to acquire emotional intelligence because they are going to be our future leaders. As an accomplished speaker, you grabbed my, and I suppose everybody's undivided attention with a very impactful call to action by Joy F. Kennedy. Anybody, and I repeat, anybody can make a difference, especially on other underprivileged children. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Again, what you missed out was the Zoom presence, which is so important. So I'll keep repeating for all evaluators, please mention the Zoom presence because we are an online club. Because if you were in a physical meeting, you would mention how the physical space was being used and how the person moved around in the physical. And so in a Zoom meeting, it looks like we might have to do some more training for the evaluators here is to focus on the Zoom presence and how the individual is using their presence and in the space that is provided. We are completely online and you have to, otherwise the evaluation is half done. It's not fully done.
I was going to mention that.
Please, you don't have to, no, it's my turn. You are done. Thank you so much. And now, Hannah, when you begin your evaluation and you got into this habit saying, phew, phew, stop doing that. You're making those noises, not necessary in any circumstances in a Toastmasters meeting. It is one of those filler things that you do, right? Like and yours is phew. So not that, but you focused well on the story, the gestures, what you got out of it, and how inspiring it was, and the conclusion of what you took away from it. Perfectly done. That was very well done, Hannah. You are a good evaluator in that manner. Perfect. Our next evaluator is Deborah Walker, and her evaluator is Sundar Subramaniam. Sundar.
Thank you, General Evaluator, and congratulations, my target speaker, Deborah Walker. The day you would never forget, even though the ambience of warmth of large crowd and aroma of coffee, yet the fear, the unknown, how it would be, the result, what it would be, right? That brings in the challenge, the reality, how it triggers the internal feelings. Very well captured, Toastmaster Deborah Walker. It's your personal journey, very authentic, affirmative, and how you come from there to here. I love the opening and how your experiences there, the disappointments, failures, frustrations, to hear the division level winner, that is you. 2007 to 2023 journey with 3 tips that brought in the change for you: the coach, the change, and the plan, and the lights that you mentioned about. And I got my 3 lights. Thank you so much for lighting my bulbs. The transition, the pitch, the modulation, the 3rd place, 2nd place, 1st place, your gestures, the active and the actions that you brought in, and you did cover the stage presence, the Zoom presence. The background was great, the dressing was appropriate and colorful, it gets the attention for the audience. So it was all good there. The simple background, but I loved it. The gray and the pink and reddish color really helped. Your body movements are towards the camera and away the camera. So poking the audience to kind of, hey, it is important, right? That also really helped. And bringing the copy of the journal designed by Darren Hardy and the mention of the meticulous effort week after week, a plan to action, synchronized well with the humors here and there, along with facial expressions, great facial expressions. The speech was calm and sure shot result for success, yet not pushy enough. Even though you challenged, my thought is that you add face, like adding a fuel to the fire, would help the audience who wants to move from there to here. Winning formula for the winners. Thank you so much. Back to you, General Event.
Thank you, Sundar. Very well done evaluation. You did mention the Zoom presence in a way, so kudos to you. You mentioned the speech and what you loved about the speech. However, when you're really evaluating a speaker, instead of saying I loved this and I love that, say your opening was effective. See where they were effective and where they could have improved, and that sort of commendation recommendations. Or I think I love this and I love that. It's just my personal opinion. I mean, evaluators tend to do that, what they particularly liked and what they loved. But I would prefer, as an advanced club, you were effective over here, and this is where you can improve on, and this is what you could do. Your opening was engaging and it grabbed the audience's attention, and you did this by blah, blah, blah. So those sort of things would have been even much more like at an advanced level of taking it to the next level, so that we really want to do that. Otherwise, we are just a community club. So have a look at that. Otherwise, of course, evaluation was well done, and what you got out of it, and you mentioned the succinct points that sort of grabbed your attention. I loved particularly, of course, Deborah's speech, because from there to here, from 2007, I didn't know you were a Toastmaster that long, Deborah. Wow. I'm looking forward to December the 16th. This is, of course, whenever we have our club contest. Oh, Deborah isn't going to be in that contest. What a shame. Okay, no problem. Our next evaluator is going to be Barbara Jarvis, and she's going to be evaluating Nina Joe. Barbara, over to you.
Thank you, Brown. Toastmaster Nina, I appreciate the research that you've done on the World Wide Web, and I confirm that you spoke with clarity, slow-paced, and your content was easily understood. You excelled at pointing out to everyone that in the world today, World Wide Web, by internet, it's the social media and devices such as cell phones and our laptops. I agree that there are hackers out there as well. And this is very disturbing as they can disrupt our lives, such as stealing our identity and stealing pictures and personal information to defraud the system. Your highlight that you gave, the tips on not taking pictures of yourself and family members and post online, as this is how they reach into or could reach into the wrong hands. It can happen through blackmailing and human trafficking. Can also happen by using the web. Now, this was a very touching topic for me because I just saw a movie 2 days ago about human trafficking. And these are girls and boys, 9 years old. This is a true movie, I think it was in Colombia. And this young girl posted a picture of herself, 9 years old, and it got into the wrong hands. And they traced her, they found her, and her life was disturbed. I also appreciate you sharing the screen and the following tips that you gave for cybercrime. And I took note of the two, which is very important, which is to change your password and use suspicious mail. And this is what happens most than most the other items that you have pinpointed. But these are true because these are real, these are hitting home. This happened to me. And I love your ending. And this with your message, you said, beware of a deep, dark web. Now, you may want to work on your eye contact and your hand gestures. I'm hoping that you would have stated that the World Wide Web have a month, the month of August. Don't you saw that in your research, but I looked at it and I saw that Cyber Month is August. And what I just need for you to challenge yourself in doing is just, like I said, eye contact and be in a standing position when delivering your speech. This will bring more emphasis as to what is being said. Back over to you, Toastmaster Bram. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara. That was an abrupt end to your evaluation. What I'd like to say about a better conclusion in your evaluation over there, you did mention the hand gestures and so on. I mean, you probably have two screens. You could see the speaker and you saw the slides. I would say that the slides were totally unnecessary because I didn't even look at the slides. I was just looking at the speaker. Now, being on Zoom, you know, if you are here and your face and that's all we can see, right, then you know, that's not Zoom presence in any way, and we really need to improve it. If you're sitting, you should at least see the part of the body that you can see here that I am, and some people are over here and you know, as a Zoom presence and who you are as a leader, you know, we should see a bit more of it, of you, and therefore your hands and how they're moving. So be cognizant of that. And Barbara, if you could have focused on that, since you did see the speaker as such. So let's not use slides as a separate, you know, as a crutch, because most people have just one screen and therefore they can only see the slides and they can see a little bit of square of you somewhere in the corner if they can. So most people have laptops and so on. So best to have a Zoom presence, or if you want slides at the back in the background without using a virtual background, that would be a great idea. Of course, not everyone has that particular type of equipment. So thank you so much. What I really liked about the idea of was that social media, you have to be very careful on social media and the World Wide Web and what you're putting out there, because it's permanent. You cannot erase it, and you don't know who's going to use your information in what manner. Thank you so much. That was my takeaway. So Barbara, note that could have been a good takeaway or something like that. Our next evaluator is Dinesh. It's going to be a difficult speech as far as I know to evaluate from my perspective. But Dinesh, I'm so glad that you are evaluating because you have more experience in that venue for Raam and Sandra. Over to you, Dinesh.
Thank you, the general evaluator, and more importantly, Raam. I'm going to evaluate you, not to Sandra, because you are presenting it. And when I evaluate you, some of my HR hat thing might come into the evaluation piece part of it because you are preparing for an interview. So I will sure to use the empathy in my evaluations when I'm doing it. I want to congratulate you for a 5 minutes interview, and you covered a few things very, very well. I'm going to highlight what you covered very well. First of all, you introduced the interviewer, that Sandra Valks is going to be my interviewer. Second thing is when Sandra asks you, tell me about yourself, you said, would you want to know something about my personal life or professional life? Because this is a challenge with many newcomers that we work with, that happens, okay? So I want to congratulate you, you clarified that too. You also mentioned that you've researched the job description. What does the job require, skill set? So you have done your research. You've researched the company also, that the company that you're applying for is bigger in size than the current company that you're currently working. And the one thing that you really nailed it, which for me was a winner kind of a thing too, was when Sandra asked you this, do you want my job? You answered that question politically very correctly. So congratulations for all the wonderful things that you did during that interview. Now, what you could have done better, improve. This is my HR stuff is going to take a role onto it too. The first thing you said, I work for a company at Don Mills. At Don Mills, there would be hundreds and thousands of companies. You could have given a name of the company, that the company does this. You didn't give that name. Second thing, you said in the job description, your company is looking for 5 skills. I have 6 skills. I don't know what 5 skills are that the company is looking for, and what 6 skills you have it. What is the additional 6 skills that you have it? The third is when Sandra asked you from an accountability perspective, you went on and on rather than you should have simply said, I don't like to be micromanaged. I like to give me a task, I will do it and finish it off. And then the last thing you says, I train 3 to 4 people. The manager's job is not only to train people. There are tons of other activities as a manager have to do it also. I mean, again, an HR head, we are looking for real life examples. So all in all, good interview. Congratulations to you as well as to Sandra for a very well done interview in 5 minutes time. Back to you, the general evaluator.
Thank you, Dinesh. Yes, I do agree that the interview was done very well. I was just wondering during the interview whether they had exchanged the questions that Raam was going to answer, or what was, so was it canned or what wasn't it canned? I have no idea. It looked a bit canned in places, but maybe it wasn't. So thank you so much for that. One suggestion is that, again, Zoom presence is so important that when you are asking questions or you're answering questions, you look straight in the camera so the audience feels that, you know, that you're talking to the audience and that the audience is in the room, in the interview room, looking at like a fly on the wall. And so it become more personal and more warm and so on. So that is so important in this sort of situation. Of course, we didn't expect gestures and movement. So perfectly well done, Dinesh, for this interview, for this session of your evaluation. Now, our next evaluator is going to be Amit Dudani. Now, I happen to see a note from Amit here that he wasn't able to see much of the speaker because his internet dropped and he wasn't there. How much of it did you see, Amit, and any comments at all from you, from what you've seen, or you didn't see anything of Ashwini's speech?
I did, Bram, but I think it won't be fair to comment based on what I heard partially. So if I am allowed, I would like to listen to the recording and share my evaluation with her.
Sure. Okay. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because I wasn't doing an evaluation, so I took very brief notes, really, rather than a full evaluator's notes of what it could be. But this is what I got from Ashwini's speech, is well, she was sitting when she started, so we could just see this a little bit of head, and I was like, is she going to do the speech that way? But of course, she had already set her camera, and she was actually role playing some parts, and then she stood up, and you could see the whole body. So that was perfectly well done, and how she did the speech. And it was all about role playing, and holidays were coming up. Emotional intelligence was involved in there, about how managers and leaders should be acting, and the Akash was asking for leave, which is of course vacation time is in North America is what we call. I know what it's called leave over there where you are. So and Zoom, your Zoom presence gestures were great. Vocal variety could be improved, because vocal variety is something that would have really given this speech even more meaning, because you are role playing, Akash and you. So I'm sure Akash spoke a bit differently than you do. So their role playing would have really added to this. Now, of course, using a virtual background when you're standing and moving quite a bit, you tend to disappear into the background and then reappear. And that is the biggest drawback of virtual backgrounds, is try and see if not to use virtual backgrounds. But I understand sometimes we don't have that room, and we do need to use virtual backgrounds, but we have to be more careful on how we move and what the lighting is so that it catches us properly. Thank you so much, Ashwini, and I'm sure Amit will look at that video and give you better feedback than I could, because I didn't write all the full notes. I only wrote it from the GE point of view. So thank you so much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I come to the end of the evaluators' evaluations. I will ask our timer to put the timing in the chat for the evaluations, and I'll ask Baron Ochola to give us the grammarian report, and while they are doing that, I would ask the Zoom master to launch the poll for the evaluators. Thank you. So can we have if you can spotlight Baron, not Marie. Marie just going to put her timing in the chat. But if Baron can come on as a grammarian. Baron, are you there? Mr. Yes, Zoom master.
Perfect. Thank you, General Evaluator. I would like to start with the use of quotes. One person can make a difference, and everyone should try. That was from Angela Brown. Deborah Walker said, a sea of people. That is a quote that gives you the visualization of what she's talking about, a sea of people. But she also used a statement that personified what she was trying to say. The crowd was bigger. The competition was tougher. I had never been stiffer. It rhymes, and it's a triad. It's a use of threes that could not go without saying. I also liked when Nina Jones said proliferation of devices, other than using bland English of saying many devices. No, a proliferation of devices. Excellent. Be as diligent on the digital highway as you are on the physical highway. That is a literary device called a metaphor, right? Attributing it to something that we can relate with for us to catch the point. But I want to quickly move to the word of the day. The word of the day was used so much by the General Evaluator, Toastmaster Bram, Rivero, Mrinal, the Toastmaster of the day, and a few other Toastmasters. And I also want to note that using the word of the day in the chat counts as using the word of the day. And to that, I appreciate Bram and Paramjit for empathizing with me in the chat room. Thank you, Toastmasters. Have a wonderful day today. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. I will move on to my report, which I'll keep very brief. Because we were running over time while the speakers were speaking. I think we've run out of time. I tried to do my part as fast as I could, but I did offer some good points along the way. So there's nothing much else to add to this meeting and my evaluation of the whole meeting as such, because I think we've really covered everything very well. And especially I would like to urge all evaluators, future evaluators, focus on the Zoom presence as well, because in the physical meeting, you're used to talking about where the speaker is standing, how they're moving, they're using the physical space is part of your evaluations, isn't it? So in an online meeting, Zoom presence is very, very important as well at the same time. And I would ask the speakers, do something different. If you're doing the same speech you're doing in a community club, then you're doing something different. Speak about something that stretches you, maybe the language or since we're in leadership speak, something to do with leadership or the project itself that calls for leadership thinking and so on. So incorporate that into your speech. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I will call on our Toastmaster of the day back on, Lokesh Verma. Over to you.
Thank you, DTM Brahman, for conducting such a wonderful evaluations. Now we'll move forward, and I would like to invite Toastmaster Cladet to share the thought of the day. Over to you, Toastmaster Cladet.
Mr. Zoom Master, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Raise your hand if you have a superpower. I see that a few of us do have superpowers. My new superpower is emotional intelligence, an essential skill for a leader to navigate life effectively. As we heard, emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, manage, and express our emotions, as well as recognize emotions in others and empathize with them. My esteemed colleagues have already presented excellent information on the topic. I'll briefly remind us of one of the 5 emotional intelligence skills, empathy, which is our word of the day. Also, I will look at a few ways to strengthen our emotional intelligence as leaders. As we heard, empathy is to understand the impact of emotions on the person experiencing them. The more we understand our own emotions, the more we can understand the emotions of others. It leads to greater understanding and connection with others. Leaders with high levels of empathy are often seen as more trustworthy. Here are a few ways to strengthen our emotional intelligence as leaders. And we heard some of them before. Listen actively, practice interacting with others more often. And in our club, we have Raam, who encourages us often to socialize as often as possible. Become more aware of politeness. Treat others with respect. Show empathy and compassion, and respect feedback. This is the best way to improve as a leader. Take the feedback and implement it in the future. And also you can do some journaling. As leaders, our emotions impact others. In closing, Theodore Roosevelt once said, "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care." As leaders in leadership speak, remember that emotional intelligence is essential to navigate life effectively. It is never too late to develop a new superpower like emotional intelligence to become a better, more self-directed leader. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Claret. Now, to conclude the meeting, I must say this was a wonderful experience for sharing and listening a lot of thoughts on emotional intelligence. We all are self-directed leaders, and to continue to improve on our leadership skill. Next time, when you get into the situation where your logical brain is being hijacked by emotions, remember, take a pause, give some buffer to reflect back on the emotions and think logically. Don't get away from the conflict. Remember to manage the conflict by understanding others' point of view. With the active listening, by demonstrating empathy, one can win the battle, the most difficult conflict situations. Leaders, emotional intelligence is something can make a difference. Remember, the quality of life depends on the quality of emotions we take. Thank you so much. Now, on the screen, we can see the winners. We have Toastmaster Deborah, who is the speaker, best speaker for today's meeting. Thank you. And who is the best evaluator? Toastmaster Dinesh. So congratulations to both of you for demonstrating what to witness here. Thank you very much. And now I hand over to DTM Raam for interacting with the guest. So meeting is adjourned. Thank you.